Whispers beyond the horizon, they called us shadows from across the sea, dark as the stones that built their gods, and just as silent. But we carried light in our hearts, a fire older than any empire. I am Kéru, son of no kingdom, heir to no throne. Yet my name once echoed across the waters, carried by the wind and whispered by the stars. I was born beneath the golden gaze of the lion of the river, the emperor who believed that the ocean was not an end, but a beginning. And so, I sailed with him, across a vast, breathing blue, chasing the sun to lands no song had ever named. We thought we were chasing destiny. But destiny, I would learn, was already waiting for us. The sea that devoured kings, the ocean had moods, gentle one dawn, murderous by dusk. For 40 days and nights, our fleet of great reed and timber ships drifted westward, carried by winds that sang like spirits. We came from the empire, where the Niger curled through the earth like a sleeping serpent. Scholars, warriors and dreamers who believed that beyond the horizon lay the land of the setting sun, the final resting place of our ancestors. I was his navigator, taught by the stars and the stories of fishermen who swore the sea had no end. When the storm came, it was not water that frightened us, it was the sound. The wind roared like something ancient awakening. Waves rose like mountains. One by one, the ships vanished into foam and lightning. By dawn, only one vessel remained, ours. Of 100 men, only 14 breathed. The emperor was gone. The sea had claimed the lion. We floated for days, hunger gnawing our souls. When land appeared, it was not salvation, it was a dream too bright to be true. Green mountains kissed the sky. Rivers glittered like silver serpents. Smoke curled from distant fires. We had reached the other side of the world. The stone faces of the east, the first people we saw, were carved in stone. Colossal heads, black, broad-nosed, staring into eternity. They look like us, whispered Abeo, my brother in spirit, his voice trembling. And indeed, they did. Their faces bore our features, full lips. Wide eyes, strong brows, sculpted in basalt and mystery. It was as if the land itself had been waiting, remembering. We stumbled inland, weak and starving. The jungle swallowed us whole. Colors screamed, green, gold, red, and blue. Howler monkeys roared from the canopy like demons. After days of wandering, we found them, living descendants of those stone faces. They called themselves the Olmec, the people of the rubber land. Their city rose from the jungle like a memory carved in stone, pyramids. Plazas, altars, and fires that burned day and night. When they saw us, they did not flee. They knelt. They said the gods had returned. The arrival of shadows, they took us to their high priests, who wore headdresses of jade and feathers, their skin painted with charcoal and ochre. Through gestures and songs, they asked us who we were. I spoke in the language of the drum, rhythm and pulse. They listened, and something ancient flickered in their eyes. In time, we learned to understand each other. They believed we were children of the Black Sun, emissaries from the underworld who crossed the sea to renew the balance of the world. But not all welcomed us. Among the Olmec were those who feared us, warriors with obsidian blades, priests who whispered that we were omens of drought and death. We were given food and shelter, yet watched by eyes sharp as knives. I remember one night, as we sat by the temple fires, the chief priest, Yuluna, said to me through a translator, "Your skin holds the color of the night. Yet your eyes carry the fire of the dawn. Tell me, Kéru, are you born of gods or men?" I smiled. Of both, perhaps. For are not all men children of the divine? He studied me long, then said, "We shall see." IV. Between two suns we worked beside them, teaching, learning, surviving. We showed them how to shape bronze from earth and salt, how to map the stars with cords and knots. In return, they taught us to read the celestial stones, great circles carved with signs of jaguars, serpents, and suns. They said these marked the path of the gods who walked between worlds. I spent my nights on the temple steps, watching the stars move across the black sea of the sky. The constellations were different here, yet somehow familiar, as if mirrored through another sky. Abeo would laugh beside me. "Even here, the ancestors follow us," he said. I wanted to believe him. But not all of us found peace. Some of our men disappeared into the jungle. Some took wives among the Olmec and forgot the words of home. Others, haunted by memory, tried to build boats to return, only to be swallowed by the ocean once more. And then came the sickness. The fever and the fire. It began with a cough. Then came the fever. The Olmec called it the breath of the serpent. Within moons, it spread through the villages, burning through flesh and dreams alike. The priests said we had brought it. I saw the fear in their eyes turn to hatred. Children hid when we passed. Warriors spat upon the ground where we walked. When Yuluna's own son died, their patience turned to fire. One night, as the moon bled red, the temple bells rang. The crowd gathered before the altar. The air smelled of smoke and blood. We were dragged from our huts and thrown to the ground. You brought death, they cried. You, sons of the dark sea. I looked up at Yuluna, who stood with his face painted like a skull. We brought knowledge, I said. And hope. Hope does not bury our dead, he replied coldly. They tied us to posts. Flames crackled at our feet. Then, a thunderclap split the sky. Rain poured in sheets, quenching the fire. The people gasped. Yuluna fell to his knees. The gods have spoken, he whispered. You are not to die this night. The blood of two worlds we were freed, but the bond between us had changed. Fear still lingered, yet so did reverence. Some said the rain was proof we were divine, others, that we had cursed the heavens themselves. To heal the divide, we offered to build something, a monument that would bind our peoples in stone and spirit. It would be a temple of two suns, one black, one gold, rising side by side. For months we worked, Olmec and African hands carving together, sweat mingling with dust. Children laughed as they brought us water. Women sang as they wove banners of fire and night. And for the first time since crossing the sea, I felt belonging. When the temple was finished, its twin towers caught the dawn and dusk, one glowing in sunlight, the other in shadow. Yuluna said, now our gods have faces in the sky. But not everyone rejoiced. The betrayal from the east came warriors from rival tribes, fierce men with bones through their noses and hatred in their eyes. They called themselves the Jaguar people. They believed we had offended the gods by building a temple that joined sun and night. They attacked at dawn. Smoke rose from the jungle. Arrows fell like rain. I fought beside the Olmec, shield against spear, fire against fury. The air was filled with screams and drums. A Bao fell beside me, a spear through his chest. His last words, don't let the fire die, Kéru. By dusk, the city burned. The temple of two suns stood wreathed in smoke. I climbed its steps, blood on my hands, tears in my eyes. When I reached the top, I looked to the horizon, and saw a comet blazing across the heavens. The people below fell silent. Even the enemy stopped. Yuluna raised his arms. The gods have judged, he cried. The comet vanished into the sea. The war ended not by sword, but by wonder. The dream of the black sun years passed. The city healed. Children born of both peoples played beneath the temple's shadow. Their skin was the color of dawn, neither black nor bronze, but something new. I grew older. My hair turned silver like riverlight. Yet my heart still longed for home. One night, I dreamt of the ocean. A voice spoke from the waves, deep, familiar, like the hum of the earth itself. Your journey is not in vain, Kéru. The sun never forgets its sons. When I awoke, Yuluna stood at the doorway. He smiled gently. Your gods speak to you. I nodded. And yours, to you. He took my hand. Perhaps they are the same. We buried a Bao's bones beneath the twin temple, along with offerings from both worlds, gold dust, cacao, and salt from the sea. I whispered, let the world remember that we were here. The legacy of stone and sky generations past. The Olmec gave way to new nations, the Maya, the Toltec, the Aztec. Yet in their myths, the story endured. That dark-skinned voyagers crossed the sea guided by a black sun. That they built temples where heaven kissed the earth. That their blood flowed in the veins of kings. I became a name in their songs, Kéru the Star Watcher, son of the distant water. And somewhere across the ocean, in lands that had long forgotten me, the stories of our voyage faded into silence. But stone remembers. And when the wind moves through the jungle, I still hear our drums echo in the leaves. The sons who never returned centuries later. When pale sails rose on the horizon and strangers set foot upon these shores, they found carvings of faces unlike their own, dark, proud, eternal. They did not know our names. They did not see that the fire they carried in their torches was once ours. But the earth remembers. The rivers remember. And when the sun sets beyond the western sea, it carries our story back home, to Mali, to the Niger, to the hearts of those who still dream of what lies beyond the horizon. For we were the forgotten sons of the sun, and though the world forgot our voyage, the sky never did.